I remember when my mother used to sing. Oh, the joy her voice would bring. When I'm lost and I'm afraid and I long to see her face, singing brings her closer to me. When our brothers travel on, said we had to carry on, even though the past was dark to see. But I know he's here tonight. I can sure feel his light, and singing brings him closer to me. Throughout the year, bring our old friend near. Oh, it brings us closer. Yes, it brings us closer. Singing brings us closer to thee. I look back on the days, the times they seem so strange, with struggle, injustice, and despair. But we march right through that hard, joining voices, joining arms, and singing brought us closer to thee. Oh, when we lift our voices, I saw the rejoicing. Oh, it brings us closer. Yes, it brings us closer. Sing, it brings us closer to thee. Oh, it brings us closer. Yes, it brings us closer. Sing, it brings us closer to thee. Oh, it brings us closer. Yes, it brings us closer. Sing, it brings us closer to thee.
Thank you. That's a song from the Blind Boys of Alabama. New CD. We got another one for you here in just a little bit. See by Faith. Singing brings us closer. And don't you feel closer to each other when we come in here on Sunday morning and we sing together? Isn't that a beautiful thing? You know, if you read in the Old Testament, which I'm supposed to call it the Hebrew Scriptures now, but I keep messing up. If you read, thank you, you'll forgive me? Yeah, no shame, no blame here, right? Because we know what sin is, right? Self-imposed nonsense. Well, I messed up again. I'll try better next time. I thought of another one this week. Swimming in negativity. I'm sinning. Let me get out of the water and dry off a little bit. Sin, missing the mark. In the Old Testament, Hebrew Scriptures, there's a lot of singing in there. You know, the verse that we read for our daily word was from the Psalms. And Psalms are just songs. Most of them are supposed to have been written by King David. And a lot of them are just songs of like, wow, thanks God, I feel really good. And, you know, we won't mention all the smiting. But a lot of it, you know, I give thanks and praise. You know, you ever heard that expression, we enter his gates with thanksgiving and praise. You know, because praise is for us. It isn't for God. You know that God doesn't need to be flattered, right? Yeah. So we're working with spiritual law when we praise God because we're focusing on what we want more of. Whatever we focus on, whatever we give thanks for, whatever we praise, we get more of. And I talked a little bit about that last week when we talked about thought plus feeling equals outcome. And gratitude is one of the highest vibrations that we can experience. And when I think about thought plus feeling, the feeling that I'm thinking of, that I want to get to, is the feeling of closeness with God, or oneness with God, or knowing that I am God in expression, or feeling God's presence. You know, this week I got to go to the Bamboo Gardens. Anybody ever been there on Highway 17? And I walked into the orchid house. And it was totally like overcome with this feeling, like wanting to cry. I just felt God's presence so strongly in there. And I put a picture of an orchid on Facebook and I said, God as the orchid spoke to me today. I really felt that very strongly. And so the rest of the day I had just like a really good day because I had gotten into that feeling place. Feeling is the key. That's what we talked about. Feeling is the key. We use our affirmations. We affirm what we want to experience. But it's getting into that feeling place as if we already were what we wanted to be. Because really, we already are what we want to be. You know, our first two principles say, first, God is everything. And second, we're all made out of God. So everything that God is, we are. So it's getting into that feeling place of we already are what we desire to experience. Does that make sense? And then it's like the outside doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what's going on. You know, people ask me a lot of times, why do y'all sing the same songs over and over every Sunday? Like, you got that one song and it's only got one line in it. Like, who wrote that? Did you just get tired? Or you're like, oh, I'll just write the chorus. We don't need any verses on this song. You know, that's really lazy, right? I just wrote one line and we just get you to sing it over and over. You know, we had Kyle's CD party last weekend, and wasn't it great? And we had a good time. And then we played his songs the next day on Sunday. And I woke up singing, I am healing. It's like the songs get in my head. And that's the point. That's the point. So you come here and you hear, I am Christ and all is well. And we just sing that over and over. That's the first two principles in one line. I am Christ and all is well. I am everything that God is, and it's all good. And so we sing that over and over, and it's reprogramming our subconscious. It's using our conscious mind and our feelings. Because there isn't anything like music. Music speaks louder than words. That used to be the radio show I had on Unity FM. And it's a song by Harold Payne, wrote it. He's a New Thought artist, but it was made popular by Peter, Paul, and Mary a couple of decades ago. Music speaks louder than words. You can say things with music that evoke a feeling. And it's that feeling place that we want to get to that makes our prayers work. Because the prayers are about changing us, right? It's not about changing God. God doesn't change. We're the ones that need to change. I need to change. I don't think I'll ever stop changing. If I don't need to change anymore, then I'll probably die and just move over because I'll be done with what I came to do. So the prayers are about changing us. We change our thoughts, we change our feelings, and then we get different results. Now the thing is that how many has ever saw that movie The Secret before? So there's a scene in there where a lady is standing in front of a jewelry store and she sees this mannequin with this beautiful, expensive necklace on it, and she just stands there and closes her eyes, and suddenly it appears on her neck. Well, it doesn't work that way. Okay? Yeah, I used to come in, when I first came into Unity, I was like, ooh, wow, I can change my thoughts and feelings and get anything I want. And so I started making out my Christmas list. I want this, and I want this, and I want that, you know, and I got some of the things, and it didn't change anything. I was still a mess, you know. So when we use our conscious mind to reprogram our subconscious mind, then our subconscious mind goes to work. This is spiritual law, and then we find ourselves responding to situations in different ways. Something will come to us that previously we might have been aggravated or frustrated by, but really there's an opportunity presenting itself. And because I've been doing my prayer work, I'm open to see things differently and to receive something that I might not have been open to receiving before. Or maybe it's going to put me in a situation with a person that before might have like really got on my nerves or something I didn't want to be around, but because I'm doing my work and I'm seeing the Christ in them and I'm knowing that they're bringing me a gift, then I can be present to that gift, right? Because you know that anybody that pushes your buttons is bringing you a gift, right? People say, my family really knows how to push my buttons because they install all of them. They know where they are. Right there. But see, they're bringing us a gift. They're bringing us something in our subconscious mind that needs to be released, to be reprogrammed. And how would we know it unless it got triggered by something? So the next time you get upset, can you look at it like observing it, like, oh, isn't this interesting? I'm very upset right now. I wonder what subconscious programming has been activated. You know, when we say thought plus feeling equal outcome, we talk about it on Sunday like, oh, well, I'm going to say this lovely little affirmation, and then I'm going to sing a song about God and feel real good about it, and things are going to change. But you know, it works with whatever thought or feeling that's really intense and predominant. And like if your parents told you every time you got in trouble, what is wrong with you? Okay? Then your programming says there's something wrong with me. Oh, okay. And then you go to work and your boss says, what's wrong here? And instantly you're like, bam, you're back in that because your subconscious programming got activated. Okay? So it's discovering, uncovering what one spiritual teacher calls our basic assumptions about ourselves. It's things that we carry around and sometimes we don't even know it. Have you ever found yourself like later in the day when you got upset and said, what was that about? Like, why was I so angry? I don't know. It's because there's something in there that you're carrying around that says, something's wrong with me, I'm not good enough, you know, I'm never going to amount to anything. So our work is uncovering those and then releasing them. And so one of the tools that I gave you last Sunday was what's called a quick coherence, where you just breathe into your heart. Just take a moment and breathe into your heart, just slowly, and then think about something or somebody that makes you feel really good. Like a time in your life where you were really grateful or you're really feeling good about something. I shared with you last week that the birth of my son was like, wow, I felt awesome. And so I go back to that sometimes when I'm doing that. Sometimes I have to do it like 20 or 30 times. I'm serious. I got upset this week about something. I could not let it go. And like, I don't want to talk to anybody while I'm feeling this way because I know how I am. So let me just practice this quick coherence technique. Just breathing into my heart, letting my heartbeat slow down, my thoughts slow down. You can even count. This is a really good way to do it. If you count 4 on the intake and hold for 2, and count 4 as you breathe out and then hold for 2, it gets your brain thinking about something else than what you're upset about, right? It's just a trick to trick your brain. And then just think about, wow, that felt really good. And then this puts me back in the space where I want to be. Now, how do we get those subconscious ideas out? I'm going to give you a short message this morning because last week the first service got out at almost 10:30, and we have they're supposed to get out at 10, and we have a town hall meeting today at noon. So everybody is welcome. Even if it's your first time in church, you can hang out and see what we do. So that'll last about 30 minutes, hopefully. So I just want to close with this other technique that I've learned that I really want to share with you. And we've been doing a lot of work with the cross lately. And one way to look at the cross metaphysically is by crossing out things that I don't want to experience anymore. You know? When we're talking about working with our thoughts and feelings, we want to do what our co-founders Charles and Myrtle Fillmore call denials and affirmations. We talk a lot about the affirmation part, where we affirm what we want to experience and we put the feeling with it, but there's also the denial or the release of what we don't want to carry around any longer. And so that's simply like saying, this thought, this person, this situation doesn't have any power over me. This isn't who I am. This doesn't define me. God defines me. I define me. So this doesn't have any power over me because I'm a child of God and worthy. You see how it works? And so what we're going to do here with this cross technique is we're going to learn to release a belief, to release a need to feel a certain way, and then to claim I'm grateful because I know the truth. So it's belief, need, grateful to know. Okay? So someone comes to you and they press one of your big buttons, and suddenly you realize, oh, that thought in my head is playing that I'm not good enough or I'm never going to amount to anything. So I'm going to say, I release the belief that I'm not good enough. And then think about, well, what is the feeling associated with that? So then I release the need to feel less than, or whatever you come up with. So do you see how that works? This is the denial part. This is really important. I'm leading my subconscious, so I'm saying, I release the belief that I'm not good enough. I release the need to feel less than. And then I bring it back in, and this is the positive thought and feeling. I am grateful, there's your feeling, to know in your thought, I'm worthy of all God's good, or whatever resonates for you. Because when you use an affirmation, you want to use one that you go, ooh, yeah, yes. Not one that you go, maybe. I'm just going to say this because Reverend Dale told me to say that. Use something that brings that energy up for you. So it's like, I release the belief that I'm not good enough. I release the need to feel less than. And I'm grateful to know that I'm worthy of all God's love. Now, I guarantee you, if you practice this in front of a mirror, and you look yourself right in the eye while you do it, you will change. You will experience a shift. Now here's the thing that I want you to think about. This is the disclaimer. Once you start getting in there and working with that subconscious, you're going to discover some other things you didn't know about before. It's like opening Pandora's box in a way. We call it chemicalization. in unity. When you try to put new wine into old wine skins, it doesn't work. It's like mixing oil and vinegar. It's this new idea in. The old ones are like, wait a minute, no, I don't know about that. I'm not ready to let go yet. So once we start working with our subconscious, like I was doing some work 2 weeks ago with this technique, and man, after a couple days, I was feeling good. I'm waking up in the morning. I am crossing out everything I don't like. I'm coming up on people during the day, and I'm thinking, I'm crossing you out. That's right. I'm large and in charge. I'm in control of my thoughts and feelings. And then suddenly, like the next day, like bam, I'm in this funk because some other stuff started coming up that I needed to work with. And so I had to sit with that. Like, have you ever practiced not trying to fix yourself when you're in a funk? It's like, okay, I'm just going to be in it. I'm not going to eat ice cream. I'm not going to try to get my partner to have sex with me right now. I'm just going to be here. Y'all know who you are. Don't look at me like that. Right? I'm not going to take whatever it is I take to change my feeling. I'm going to be with it for a minute. Just, okay, let's try to come up for me here. And just sit with it. And this is the way that we change our subconscious programming, by being conscious of what's going on. And then using these techniques that we learn. And if that doesn't work with you, there's plenty of others that you can work with. But I love this idea of crossing out whatever I don't no longer want. And you can think of the cross as like this part is the material part, and this is the spiritual part coming down into the material, and they both meet right here at your heart mind. You're bringing your thoughts and feelings together, and in the Gospel of Thomas it tells us when the two become one, when our thoughts and feelings become one heart mind, then we can say to the mountain, move, and it moves.